My business partner registered our company in her name alone while I was funding every penny of it. She slid the LLC papers across the coffee table like it was nothing, like I was supposed to just nod. My name wasn't on a single line. Not one. And we'd been building that business together for 2 years on my savings. I picked up the papers, read them twice, and said nothing, because I already knew what I had to do. My name is Daphne Okafor. I'm 38 years old. I'm a registered nurse, pediatric unit, St. Luke's Medical Center in Kansas City, Missouri. 12-hour shifts, 3 or 4 days a week, and whatever time I had left, I poured into a small skincare business my college roommate and I had been growing out of my kitchen since 2021. I'm the daughter of Nigerian immigrants who worked double shifts and didn't complain, ever. And I think I inherited that to a fault. I'm not someone who makes scenes. I'm not someone who threatens people or sends long emotional texts at midnight. I handle things methodically, quietly. That quality served me well in the hospital. It took me a while to figure out it could serve me just as well everywhere else. The business was called Bare Dew, natural skincare, mostly facial serums and body butters. We started selling at farmers markets on Saturdays in Westport, then moved online. By the end of 2022, we were clearing about $4,400 a month in sales. I had put in $31,000 of my own money, startup supplies, equipment, the Shopify store, the LLC filing fee, the product photography, all of it. My partner, Tasha, brought the creative vision and the social media presence. It seemed like a fair split. It seemed like trust. It seemed like a lot of things it turned out not to be. Before I get into what happened, I want to know who's here with me tonight. Drop your city or your country in the comments right now. I want to see where this story is landing, because I think some of you know exactly the kind of betrayal I'm about to describe, not from a stranger, but from someone you chose. The papers she slid across that table were filed in November of 2022. I found out about them in January of 2023, when I went to log into our shared business account and discovered my access had been revoked. I called Tasha. She didn't answer. I texted. She replied 4 hours later saying we needed to talk. We met at her apartment in Brookside, the one with the gallery wall and the 6 different throw pillows, and she poured us both coffee and then told me in a very calm voice that she'd restructured the business for tax purposes. She'd registered Bare Dew as a sole proprietorship under her name. She said I would remain a key collaborator with compensation to be determined going forward. I stared at her. I remember the mug in my hand. It was one of those speckled ceramic ones from TJ Maxx, $12, white with brown flecks. I stared at it while she kept talking because I didn't trust my face. Tasha, I finally said, I funded this business. Every dollar of startup capital came from me. You invested. That's different from ownership. I drove home in silence. I sat in the parking lot of my apartment building for 25 minutes. Then I went upstairs and opened the folder on my desktop where I kept financial records. The first escalation happened 2 weeks later. Tasha posted a feature on a Kansas City lifestyle blog, a real one, good readership, introducing Bare Dew as her brand, her vision, her formulations. My name did not appear. I had developed 3 of the 5 core products personally. I had sourced every supplier. I had written the brand guide from scratch on a Google Doc that still had my name in the version history. None of that was mentioned. Friends who knew about the business started texting me asking why I wasn't included. I told them we were going through a restructuring. That was all I said. The second escalation was financial and deliberate. Tasha filed a 2022 business tax return under the sole proprietorship that showed $52,000 in gross revenue I had helped generate, and did not include me in any of the income reporting. She also applied for a small business development grant through the city of Kansas City worth $8,500. She listed herself as sole founder on the application. I found out about the grant from a mutual acquaintance who'd seen the announcement in a local business newsletter. The third escalation was personal. In March, at a mutual friend's birthday dinner in the River Market, Tasha introduced me as a friend who used to help with Bare Dew. Not a co-founder, not a partner, someone who used to help. I smiled. I updated the folder on my desktop when I got home. What they didn't know, what Tasha didn't know, was that I had kept everything. And I mean everything. I had the original bank transfer record showing every dollar I'd moved into the business account between March 2021 and October 2022. I had email chains with suppliers, photographers, and our Shopify developer, all addressed to both of us, all dated. I had the original Google Doc where we'd outlined the business structure together in May 2021, time-stamped, with both our names and editing histories intact. I also had something I hadn't even thought to use yet, a series of Venmo transactions from 2021 where Tasha had sent me small repayment amounts with memos that said things like biz expenses and my half, acknowledgement of shared ownership, in writing, with dates. I'd been quietly organizing all of it into a folder I called simply Record. I also had a lawyer. Her name was Gloria Mensa, a small business and IP attorney I found through a referral from a nurse colleague whose husband had been through a partnership dispute. I called Gloria in February, before any of the escalations. She reviewed what I sent her and said we had a strong case for unjust enrichment, misappropriation of jointly developed intellectual property, and potentially fraudulent business registration. She was measured about it, not dramatic. She said, "Let's give them one formal opportunity to correct this before we file anything." Gloria sent a demand letter to Tasha in April. It was specific, calm, and thorough. It listed every asset, every contribution, every financial transfer, and the legal basis for each claim. It requested formal co-founder recognition, a restructured LLC with equitable ownership, back compensation for unpaid contribution, and a correction to the 2022 tax filing. It gave Tasha 30 days to respond through counsel. Tasha called me directly 2 days after receiving it. She did not sound like the woman who'd poured me coffee and talked about tax structures. She sounded scared, actually. Small. She said, "Daphne, I didn't think you'd do this." "I know," I said. We settled out of court in June. I was granted 48% ownership of Bear Do, formally recorded in a revised LLC filing. I received $14,200 in back compensation. The intellectual property on the 3 products I developed was formally assigned to the joint business, not to her alone. She retained operational control, which I agreed to because I didn't want to run it anymore. I wanted what was mine, documented and recognized. That was all. Bear Do is still operating. It does well. I receive quarterly distributions and I have zero involvement in the day-to-day. Tasha and I do not speak. I don't wish her harm. I wish her the specific accountability that comes from knowing someone held a complete record of everything she did. Here's what I want you to carry with you. Financial trust is not enough. When you build something with someone, a business, a project, anything with real stakes, get it in writing before the first dollar moves. Not because you think they'll betray you, but because documentation protects both people, and the person who resists it is telling you something important. If someone has used your money, your labor, your ideas, and then erased your name from the thing you built, you are not alone in this. Share what happened to you in the comments. Someone needs to read your story tonight. Comment your country name from where you're watching. Help the story reach the people who need it most. You've been watching this channel because something here is real. The stories, the women, the pattern of quiet strength over loud drama, it means something. If that's why you're here, share this video with one person who needs it. Your share is how these stories travel, and it matters more than you know. See you in the next one.